understand. Johnny Fantane never gets that movie.
Born in Little Italy, Johnny Fantane grew up with Nino Valenti, who remained a close friend. Johnny was a childhood friend to the children of Don Vito Corleone as well, especially Sonny Corleone. From an early age, Johnny had a talent for singing, which was encouraged by his music teacher, Sister Immaculata, and with the subtle help of his godfather, Vito Corleone, was able to break into show business, often playing at clubs such as the Breslin. After finishing college, he married his childhood sweetheart Ginny and had 3 children, Lisa, Angie, and Trina, but later left her for Hollywood actress Margot Ashton, who turned out to be a floozy. This action estranged him from his godfather, who thought the act was highly disrespectful to Johnny's children and their mother. Early in his career, Johnny was once assigned to Les Halley, a bandleader he wanted to break off from, so Johnny called upon his godfather for help. Don Vito visited the bandleader and offered to buy out Johnny's contract for $10,000. Halley turned it down. Later, Don Vito visited Halley with his enforcer Luca Brasi and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. While Luca held a gun to Halley's head, Don Vito pushed a release check for $1,000 in front of him and told him that either his brains or his signature would be on it. Halley signed. Downfall. It wasn't long after his second marriage fell apart that Johnny started developing a sore throat. His condition worsened until he could barely sing for 10 minutes without suffering a hoarse throat for 3 days after. With his singing career looking grim, Johnny sought to make it in big movies, not the singing buddy pictures he had done, but Oscar-winning blockbusters. Such a movie was in production, a war film which featured a main character that seemed to be written for Johnny. As Johnny put it, he wouldn't even have to really act in order to play it. There was only one problem. Jack Woltz, the head of the studio, hated Fantane for having made off with one of his mistresses and spitefully refused Johnny the part, especially because he knew it would put Johnny's career back on track. Asking a favor. Johnny arrived at Connie's wedding, where he entertained the guests before asking the Don if he could help him secure the part. After they paid a deathbed visit to Genco Abbandondo, the Don sent Tom Hagen on that night's red-eye flight to Los Angeles in order to negotiate with Woltz. When Woltz still refused to budge, he woke up the next morning to find the severed head of his prize stud horse, Khartoum, in his bed. Realizing that he would likely be next if he didn't give in, Woltz granted Johnny the part. Around this time, Johnny's divorce from Ashton came through, and he began to rebuild his relationship with Ginny. Superstardom. Don Corleone also helped Fantane by helping him win the Academy Award. In return, Johnny made a star out of his old friend Nino, also a godson of Vito's, who later died from his heavy drinking habits shortly after appearing in a widely successful film. At about this time, Johnny had his third marriage to Annie McGowan, the host of a famous puppet show, but this marriage was short-lived. Due to difficulties with the Gaming Commission, he wished to sell his share of the castle in the clouds, but asked for Michael's permission first. The two had hostile relations at this time, and Michael dismissed Fantane harshly, claiming what he did with his money was none of Michael's concern. Family life. Hey Mike, where you going? It's your favorite song. I'm just going into the kitchen to listen to some Tony Bennett records. Johnny Fantane and Michael Corleone. Johnny's career began to drift at this time, and he earned the nickname One Take Johnny from directors. However, he was still highly sought after and was given the prestigious honor of being Grand Marshal of the Columbus Day Parade in New York City. He also received the role of Christopher Columbus in a blockbuster picture starring Deanna Dunn and Oliver Smith, Christmas. At this time, his tumultuous love life subsided, and Johnny finally settled down with Francesca Corleone, daughter of his old friend Sonny Corleone, whom he married. Johnny continued to appear in films, but was not too much of a star to sing Michael Corleone's favorite song, To Each His Own. In 1979, at a party celebrating Michael's receiving of the Order of St. Sebastian. By this time, relations between the two men had clearly recovered considerably. Personality and traits. An impulsive man, Johnny loved his family deeply, but allowed himself to become separated from them due to his wandering eye. He attempted to maintain good relations with all those he dealt with and became irritable with those who clearly disliked him, such as Tom Hagen. Influences. Johnny Fantane is based on Frank Sinatra, who is believed to have used his mob connections to gain a part in From Here to Eternity. Incidentally, the actor he replaced was Eli Wallach, who later played Don Altobello, a role written for Sinatra. The details of his split with his first wife are similar to those of Dean Martin. The story of Luca Brasi threatening a bandleader to release Johnny Fantane is based on an event in which Willie Moretti, a New Jersey mobster, held a gun to bandleader Tommy Dorsey's head to get Frank Sinatra released from a contract. The appearance of Johnny Fantane and presence of the heads of the 5 families at Connie's wedding is based on the wedding party of Salvatore Bonanno to Rosalie Profaci, which was attended by singer Tony Bennett and many mob bosses from across the United States. Al Martino, who portrays Johnny Fantane, was actually one of Mario Puzo's models for Fantane, as he once worked in a mob-run nightclub. When Martino wanted to move on, he was severely beaten and soon after left for Europe, where he performed for 8 years, before returning to the United States.
You remember Willie Cicci was with old man Clemenza in Brooklyn?
Willie Cicci was a hitman and soldier in the Corleone family, but later became the right-hand man of Frank Pentangeli. He was born October 28, 1909. An employee of the Genco Pura Olive Oil Company since 1942, Willie Cicci was in reality a top enforcer and button man for the Corleone crime family. He was a high-ranking soldier in the regime of Santino Corleone. Several key associates reported to him, including the Don's son-in-law, Carlo Rizzi. Cicci was also one of Sonny's bodyguards during the 5 Families War and was present when Sonny beat Carlo outside of his sports book. After Sonny's death, Cicci was transferred to Peter Clemenza's regime. Role in the war. By 1955, Cicci had become prominent in the family and was well trusted enough to be assigned with the job of assassinating Don Carmine Cuneo on the day of Michael Rizzi's baptism in 1955. Cicci assassinated Don Cuneo in the revolving doors at the Elegante Hotel after he got a haircut and shave at the barber shop while waiting for Cuneo to appear across the street. He was also one of the men assigned to eliminate Salvatore Tessio following his betrayal. Cicci drove Tessio to his death place, but did not observe the execution itself, for he felt sorry for Tessio and later regretted doing this hit. The new regime. When Michael Corleone moved to Nevada, Cicci remained in New York, working for Clemenza and later Frank Pentangeli, acting as his personal bodyguard and right-hand man, and was eventually promoted to Capo Regime, running a subdivision in Pentangeli's regime. He went with Pentangeli to Anthony Corleone's first communion and party at Lake Tahoe and expressed his suspicions about the sudden death of Clemenza, who had supposedly died of a heart attack brought on by stress from the ongoing conflict with the Rosato brothers. After the party, Cicci went with Pentangeli to a meeting with the Rosato brothers, who then tried to kill Pentangeli, but they were interrupted by the appearance of a bribed police officer. This resulted in a shootout between the gangsters and police officers, in which Cicci appeared to be shot in the middle stomach of the road after he unsteadily stood and fired his revolver. He was then hit by the Rosato's car and laid unconscious in the street. The Senate hearings. Cicci recovered the next month and testified against Michael at the Senate hearings on organized crime, eventually betraying him, as he believed Michael had put out the hit on both him and Pentangeli. Cicci states that Michael not only killed Virgil Sollozzo and Captain McCluskey in 1946, but orchestrated the mass murder of the other New York Dons in 1955 and forced him to help him murder Tessio and Don Cuneo. Damning as Cicci's testimony was, he is unable to directly implicate Michael in any murders, for Michael got rid of all the security cameras on the day of Michael Rizzi's baptism. Willie also said he never received orders directly from Vito, Sonny, Frito, or Michael. He said there were always buffers between the button men and the Don, like that Clemenza. Pentangeli was brought in as a surprise witness to corroborate Cicci's testimony. As a capo, there is no insulation and insult between Michael and himself or any of their assets. However, Frank was intimidated into silence and the hearings fell apart. personality, and traits. A lank and lean retainer plus a fast learner, Cicci Weasley demeanor made other family members suspicious of him, particularly during the Five Families War in 1946. However, he was a loyal soldier for the most part, able to carry out orders swiftly and efficiently, although he did it only because he got paid for it, as he was all about the money. When he was arrested and put on trial, he went out of his way and started hating Michael and the rest of the mob with a burning passion for all they put him and his watermelon-like face through. Behind the scenes, Willie Cicci was originally intended to be one of the major characters in The Godfather Part 3, but was written out and replaced by Joey Zasa following the death of the actor Joe Spinell.
Do you know who I am? I'm Moe Greene. I made my bones when you were going out with cheerleaders.
Moe Greene was a gang leader and casino owner from Las Vegas and former lieutenant in Roth Syndicate. Moe Greene was a renowned Jewish mobster and former executioner for Murder Incorporated, credited with the development of Las Vegas into a gambling and entertainment mecca, bringing the interests of the most powerful organized crime organizations in America to the town. He was a childhood friend of Hyman Roth. Moe and Fredo. The Corleone family don't have that kind of muscle anymore. The Godfather is sick, right? You're getting chased out of New York by Barzini and the other families. You think you can come to my hotel and take over? Moe Greene. Among his powerful allies was Don Vito Corleone, who bankrolled the creation of Greene's first hotel casino. In return, Moe took the Don's son Fredo under his wing during the war between the five families in New York, due to the intervention of West Coast Don Anthony Molinari. Although Fredo was greatly influenced by the city and Greene, family heir Michael Corleone disapproved of the effect it had on his brother, whom Greene reportedly chastised and slapped around in public. Moe claimed that Freddie had been disrupting the business by cavorting with cocktail waitresses, often keeping them from their work. At a meeting with Greene, Michael expressed his disapproval and, perhaps partially motivated by Fredo's public disgrace, made a stern offer to buy out Greene's entire interest in the casino as part of the Corleones' relocation to Nevada. Offended, Greene angrily refused, claiming that the Corleones had neither the favor nor the power required to drive him out of the business. He also belittled Michael's credentials as a boss, saying, "I made my bones when you were going out with cheerleaders." Moe's death. For this mistake, Greene was executed on the day of Michael Rizzi's baptism whilst at a massage parlor in Las Vegas. The execution was performed with a bullet clean through the eye. Moe's casinos then became property of the Corleone family. Legacy. His death enraged his friend Hyman Roth, who swore to kill Michael. It ignited the Roth conspiracy, which eventually led to the war between the Corleone family and the Roth Syndicate. Moe Greene is primarily based on Bugsy Siegel, an associate and friend of Jewish mobster Meyer Lansky, who inspired the character of Hyman Roth. Like Moe Greene, Bugsy Siegel was also widely mythologized to have been killed with a single clean, execution-style gunshot through the eye. This popular version of Siegel's death was based on inaccurate leaks and conflicting witness reports. The official files showed Siegel was actually killed with a burst of .30 caliber rounds from an M2 carbine through the window of his house, one of which struck him in the side of the head and gruesomely blew his right eye, largely intact, out of the socket and onto the carpet from the cranial overpressure. While Greene is based on Bugsy Siegel in the style of his death, there is a difference in the cause of doom. Greene died on account of refusal to sell his casino holdings. Siegel had been installed by the Mafia to manage the Flamingo Casino due to his reputation as a good earner and manager. When revenue was down in spite of the Flamingo being a hot destination in town, Mafia bosses began to suspect Siegel was skimming profits and ordered his death. Moe Greene's name is believed to be derived from the names of Moe Sedway and Gus Greenbaum, who were close associates of Meyer Lansky placed in charge of the Flamingo after Siegel's murder. In addition to Bugsy Siegel, another inspiration for Moe Greene is Moe Dalitz, who was referred to as Mr. Las Vegas and is credited with turning the city from a layover for GIs to a major tourist destination, exactly as Hyman Roth describes Moe Greene. In the novel, Moe Greene was shot to death in the Hollywood home of his movie star mistress. Afterward, Al Neri went on a vacation in the Caribbean and did not reappear in New York until almost a month later. He was portrayed by the late Alex Rocco. In the original screenplay, Greene had a business relationship with Carmine Cuneo, and the two were gunned down in an elevator by Peter Clemenza, much in the same way as Victor Strachey and his underboss in the final film. Moe Greene's death in the film became known as the Moe Greene Special. In Denial, Anger, Acceptance, 1999, an episode from season 1 of the television show The Sopranos, mob associate Brendan Falone is executed with a bullet clean through the eye while lounging in his bathtub. The execution is referred to by another character as a Moe Greene Special. Alex Rocco had a cameo appearance in the 1995 film Get Shorty as a mob boss. In the scene, he is lying on his front and is being massaged in much the same fashion as his death scene in The Godfather.